So we have some interesting news when it comes to Jordynne Grace and her future with Impact Wrestling. Now, Jordynne Grace is, along with many other names with Impact Wrestling, that has their contract expiring soon, or in the first couple of months of 2021, or certainly in the first quarter of 2021. And as I mentioned, Jordynne Grace is just another name in that sense, because Jordynne Grace is an Impact Wrestling former Knockouts champion, but she might not be in the coming months when it comes to Impact. Now, Jordynne Grace's contract with the company is reportedly up in May of 2021, and even she isn't sure what's happening at this point. Now, the former Knockouts champion recently appeared on the House of Hardcore podcast, which is a podcast hosted by current also Impact Wrestling star Tommy Dreamer, #1 contender for the Impact World Championship at No Surrender 2. He also works as a backstage producer, and she addressed her current situation. She talked about how she's dealing with the current pandemic, what she's thinking about it all. She said, quote, "I'm just writing it out at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with COVID, but I'm nervous. Obviously, my contract is up in the next few months, so I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just trying to keep a job." Now, obviously, when she's speaking about that, she's just basically implying, look, there's a lot of concern and a lot of basically not knowing what's going on when it comes to the pandemic, pro wrestling. We've seen the pro wrestling industry decimated, especially the independent scene, decimated by the pandemic over the course of the past 12 months or so, and I think she's just reiterating that. Frankly, I don't think it's going to be a situation where Impact Wrestling are going to say to Jordynne Grace, someone of Jordynne Grace's status with the company, look, we don't want you around anymore, we can't afford you, we're going to let you go. They want to keep Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace is a prominent knockout for Impact Wrestling. Jordynne Grace is a big star in the making for Impact. The likes of AEW and WWE would take Jordynne Grace like that in their company, in their respective women's divisions. Jordynne Grace in NXT would absolutely thrive. She would be an NXT Women's Champion. On Raw or SmackDown, Jordynne Grace could easily be a Raw or SmackDown Women's Champion. Switch over to AEW. She could absolutely be the AEW World Women's Champion. She could also be the NWA World Women's Champion too. Jordynne Grace, once her contract does expire, she'll have a lot of suitors. Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind about that, because Jordynne Grace is immensely talented. She is immensely talented. You look at all the work she's done with Impact. As I mentioned, she's a former Knockouts champion, but also, in addition to having tremendous matches as part of the Knockouts division, she's also done quite a lot of intergender wrestling as well. Now, I know intergender wrestling does definitely divide people and certainly polarizes people. People don't think it's realistic. Jordynne Grace, though, and I do sometimes lean into that, and I say parts of it are unrealistic. That's certain parts of intergender wrestling, it does come across more as a show as opposed to an athletic competition, but Jordynne Grace is different there. Jordynne Grace is in the same vein of a Chyna or other larger-than-life female stars over the year, that Jordynne Grace legitimately could beat a lot of men up. There's no doubt about it. You know, look at the strength, look at the power. She's a power lifter. Jordynne Grace is in that category with people like Chyna, people like Nia Jax, that if they were to do intergender wrestling, they're more than believable, because they could beat up a load of men, you know, because they're these larger-than-life dominating female stars that are incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. So I have no problem whatsoever with Jordynne Grace doing the intergender wrestling. In fact, when she's done it in Impact, I think she's done it better than most people ever have when they've done that intergender stuff, because again, it's believable. There's absolutely a base of reality to Jordynne Grace when she does that intergender wrestling. At one point of time, there was thoughts that she might even become the X Division champion. Some would say that's a step too far. I would have had no problem with it. No problem with it whatsoever if they decided to pull the trigger and go to that direction with Jordynne Grace. So her contract does expire in May. I think if you were to look at the options for her, it's the same as I would say for anything, frankly. When anyone in Impact Wrestling, which there are a lot of at the moment, are having discussions about what they should do, their contract, should they stay, should they go. If you look at the Knockouts division in Impact, it's one of the best women's division in the world. I think it's better than AEW Women's Division. Not to say that AEW Women's Division can't get up to a level of the Knockouts division. My concern would be when it comes to AEW, and it still is, it's still the same as it has been since the first few episodes of Dynamite, frankly, in 2019, is that it's nothing to do with the talent in AEW. AEW has a wealth of talent available to them in their women's division, whether it's Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, Abaddon, Taya Conti, Anna Jay, the list goes on and on. They've got a plethora of fantastic talent available to them. It's about the positions they're put in to succeed. They don't get those positions in AEW. for whatever reason, in terms of the AEW executive vice presidents, in terms of the officials there in All Elite Wrestling, women's wrestling just isn't a priority for them. And the facts are there. They have one match pretty much per week on TNT. It's a 5-minute match in the worst time slot, and then they go, oh, they don't draw. I wonder why. If you don't give your talent an opportunity to thrive and succeed, they're not going to thrive or succeed. Impact Wrestling, on the other hand, they put their female wrestlers in a position to succeed. They have their knockouts main eventing shows. They have multiple knockout matches per shows. They have multiple knockout storylines at any period of time. They've just brought back the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, which Jordynne Grace is actively participating in and teaming with Jazz. So for me, if you were going to choose between AEW and Impact, I would always say if you're a female talent, stick with Impact Wrestling. You'll be more creatively fulfilled there. Obviously, going to AEW, you might have a better pay, you might have a better rate, and maybe you think you can make a difference in AEW. That's a possibility. But if you're a level of a Jordynne Grace and the star power of a Jordynne Grace right now, if you had to choose between AEW and Impact, I would say choose Impact any day of the week. Now, it's a different story when it comes to WWE, of course, because WWE's perception of women's wrestling is far, far different to what it ever used to be. Some of the biggest stars in WWE right now are the female superstars, whether that is Ronda Rousey, whether that is Becky Lynch, whether it is Charlotte Flair, whether that is Sasha Banks, the list goes on. I think arguably the Women's Royal Rumble was the best match on the show this past Sunday, and you've got a plethora of stars in WWE and NXT and on Raw or SmackDown, and arguably the NXT Women's Division is the best out of any of those divisions as well. So if Jordynne Grace was going to go to WWE, there's a very big chance she would go straight into NXT, and she would thrive. She would absolutely thrive there. Can you imagine Jordynne Grace versus Io Shirai, Jordynne Grace versus Dakota Kai, Jordynne Grace versus Mercedes Martinez? I mean, the list goes on. And then once you get to the main roster, Jordynne Grace versus a Becky Lynch, Jordynne Grace versus a Sasha Banks, a Charlotte Flair, an Asuka, a Bianca Belair. Those matches are incredibly, incredibly exciting. So there were reports over the course of the past couple of months or so that WWE have been reaching out to various Impact Wrestling talents, finding out when their contracts do expire. Given the fact that Jordynne Grace's contract does expire in May of this year, is Jordynne Grace one of those names? We don't know at the moment. But if I'm WWE, I'm reaching out and I'm saying, look, are you interested? Because Jordynne Grace, to me, she really is a special talent. She really is. And I know she's a bit outspoken sometimes on social media, rightfully so though. I think some people say, oh, Jordynne Grace, she's really outspoken, blah, blah, blah. But look at the matters she's outspoken about. She's outspoken about people trolling other people on social media. She's outspoken about people harassing female wrestlers on social media. That's perfectly justifiable reasons to be outspoken on social media. Shame those people. Put a spotlight on them. You know, get them kicked off social media. It's the right things to do. Never ever have I seen Jordynne Grace be outspoken on a topic on social media and gone, oh, I think she's overstepping her boundaries there. She's absolutely justified and she's got free speech. She can say what she wants. She's not violating any terms of service when it comes to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. I think she's she's got a lot of potential. She really does have a lot of potential, Jordynne Grace. I think she's a star in the making. Again, depending on what happens now, when it comes to her contract, she's got a few months to decide about it's the start of February now, so she's got about 3 months or so to figure out what's going to go on. I would be stunned, and again, I don't know, this isn't a report, this is just opinions. I would be stunned if a WWE wasn't interested, because I think Jordynne Grace is such a unique talent. She's got a unique look. There aren't many female wrestlers around right now that are like Jordynne Grace. You look at people like Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez, the matches they've been having in NXT recently, the more strength-based, power-based female pro wrestlers, and they've been a joy to watch, whether it's last woman standing or just physical, brawling matches. Jordynne Grace slots straight into that category. She could have some amazing matches with a Rhea Ripley or some amazing matches with a Raquel Gonzalez. I think they could be really, really interesting. So if I'm WWE, I'm looking at a Jordynne Grace and saying, we need to have discussions. We need to reach out. WWE's recruitment base is incredibly extensive and their recruitment team is incredibly extensive. And the reports are out there that they're looking at various Impact Wrestling talents because they know, they read the reports online and they speak to people within the industry, intermediaries, if you will. They speak to people rather and say, look, their contract's coming up in a couple of months, and they know there is a lot of Impact Wrestling stars that their contracts are coming up over the course of the next few months, whether it's in February, March, April, May, or even June. There's a plethora of names, whether it's Moose, Jordynne Grace, Rich Swann, the list goes on and on. So I'm sure WWE would be interested, and I'm sure, frankly, AEW would be. Now, before we finish up here, since we're talking about the Knockouts division, I do want to talk about something else, and that's former Knockouts champion ODB, an Impact Wrestling legend, because it looks like ODB could be set to return to Impact Wrestling in the near future. Now, ODB has confirmed that she will be returning to Impact Wrestling television soon. Now, in an interview snippet posted by Chris Van Vliet, the Knockouts icon was asked about her in-ring future, seeing as she never officially announced her retirement from the Squared Circle. Now, by all accounts, fans won't have to wait long for her to return to Impact Wrestling screens, as she returned to the company at their post-Hard to Kill TV tapings over the course of the last few days once the Hard to Kill pay-per-view was finished a couple of weeks ago. Now, what she will be doing in this return remains to be seen, but it has been confirmed by ODB herself that she is returning to Impact Wrestling in the near future. Now, former Knockouts champion, ODB named the likes of Jazz, the aforementioned Jordynne Grace, and current Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo as opponents she'd like to tangle with, while also addressing the working relationship of sorts and open borders policy forged between Impact Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling in recent months. She said, quote, "That's actually one thing I said. Jacksonville's an hour away from me. I've been having my food truck there. Why not drive the..." I can't say the word because YouTube will have a go at me. It's a swear word beginning with a B. Drive right in. So, having officially been signed to an Impact contract in 2014, ODB has been making surprise stints in the promotion, which included challenging for the Knockouts Championship at the first Hard to Kill pay-per-view in January of 2020. Now, alongside her successful food truck business, ODB has also made appearances in both NWA and AEW, the latter of which saw her enter the Women's Casino Battle Royal at All Out in 2019. So, it looks like when it comes to ODB, we could potentially see ODB once again on Impact Wrestling screens in the near future. Now, the way she was saying to Chris Van Vliet is that she actually participated in the post-Hard to Kill TV tapings. Now, we're only a couple of weeks into those, actually watching them on Access TV. So as of right now, we don't know if that's true or not. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe she'll show up tonight on Impact. Who knows? I remember hearing a story. We spoke about it here on the channel actually before the end of last year, saying that Taylor Wilde was going to be returning to Impact Wrestling and that she participated at the last TV tapings. We haven't seen her. So it looks like that wasn't accurate, or I don't know. So if ODB is returning or not, only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see. Personally, I'd love to see her back because I think you've seen the people that have been leaving recently. The likes of Taya Valkyrie has left. There is a spot on the roster, another spot available for someone like an ODB to come in. And look, ODB has so much associated with Impact. Obviously, it's where she's most known for. But she also has a lot of association with the Knockouts Tag Team Championships too. This is why I thought previously ODB was going to be Jordynne Grace's tag team partner in that Knockouts Tag Team Championship tournament, because ODB, of course, was one half of the last Knockouts Tag Team Champions before they were retired and made defunct in 2013. Of course, the other half of that was Eric Young, her husband at the time. But there's a variety of things that ODB could come back to do. Maybe she comes back, has an interaction with Fire and Flavor and says, look, I was one half of the last Knockout Tag Team Champions. I want a shot at winning it back. I want to be the first person to win both iterations of those Knockout Tag Team Championships. Maybe she has a tag team partner of her own. Maybe that's Taylor Wilde. Taylor Wilde was one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions too previously. So maybe they have this modern day tag team in Fire and Flavor go up against this veteran tag team in ODB and Taylor Wilde, who were previously Knockouts Tag Team Champions in the past. So that could certainly be a situation. Or maybe ODB comes back and, like she says, maybe she wants to face a Deonna Purrazzo, a Jordynne Grace, or maybe have a veterans match against someone like Jazz, who looks like she's sticking around for a while as well. Jazz. So there's a lot of things ODB could be doing, and if and when she returns, I'm very excited for it because I do think she's a tremendous talent and she still does have a lot to offer. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Jordynne Grace's contractual status with Impact and ODB possibly returning to Impact Wrestling in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, WWE, AEW, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved with the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.